Take a look at this right here. Crews have been working since the weekend to clean up mud, repair roofs, and replace flooded carpets, all at Albuquerque Public Schools.
Yeah, the flooding did a number to them, and Albuquerque High School was hit the hardest. Crews have been have fans blowing in the Performing Arts Center to dry out the flooded stage and the carpet. A portable building was also flooded, and the district says at least 6 inches of water covered the roof at the height of the storm.
Just had so much water and so much collection of water on the roof, it just couldn't get rid of all the water through the drains. It was overflowing. We had water coming through the doors. We had a lot of water in the courtyard.
Albuquerque High here is one of just 16 APS schools crews went out to after the weekend storms. The district says it'll cost about $100,000 to fix all the damage, but it should be done by the time school starts. That would be a week from today. UNM is cleaning up its own mess, a mess that seems to keep on growing, unfortunately. We've now learned at least 30 buildings were damaged by Friday's flood, and one was struck by lightning. The saddest story is with Hodgen Hall. It's 123 years old, the first building on campus, and part of the ceiling collapsed. Water flowed through the building's parlor and down the walls. The original wood frames are warping, and so are the wood floors.
There was water damage on 3 floors of the building. It makes your heart sink a little bit because it's a proud building, and you know it when you walk in it. It's the Alumni Center.
Although the physical damage to Hodgen Hall is extensive, UNM says nothing irreplaceable was lost, thank goodness. Now there's still a question about what can be salvaged from the Centennial Library, where shelves of old, unique documents were soaked. Damage in other buildings varies from wet sheetrock to crumbling ceiling tiles and a blown-out HVAC system because of the lightning. UNM says this will not affect any classes.
A New Mexico mother accused of kidnapping her own 3 children nearly 2 decades ago will be allowed to stay at a halfway house, at least for now. Eileen Clark took her children, who were 2, 5, and 7 at the time, from Placitas back in 1995 after her husband asked for a divorce. She was found in London in 2008, but it took 6 years to get her back here to face charges. Prosecutors argue that she is a flight risk, but a federal magistrate ordered that she be released to a halfway house. Prosecutors are appealing, but there's a fight over the proper way to do that. In the meantime, Clark will be released to that halfway house.
Well, it is a story that's hard to forget. A woman in Albuquerque found bound naked and dead in her home. This happened just a month ago, and people living near 86th and Bridge have been anxiously waiting for police to tell them something about Danette Webb's death.
Well, I think maybe they're not giving us information because maybe they have something that's maybe they're really close to that might pertain to someone maybe around here.
Also, neighbors gathered last night as part of the National Night Out, hoping to start a neighborhood watch program. They also invited someone from the city who's in charge of crime prevention to talk specifically about the case and how to make their neighborhood safer. A police lieutenant spent nearly 2 hours talking with folks about how to keep the neighborhood safe, but he did not have any information to share about the Webb case.
New Mexico rail runner is making major changes in the wake of 2 deadly accidents involving bicyclists in Santa Fe. In April, a cyclist rode in front of a train as it crossed Zia Road. It happened again 2 months later at the St. Michael's Drive crossing. Now, in both cases, the cyclists were using the pedestrian crossing. Augusta Myers with the rail runner says this is a wake-up call. So as of yesterday, the commuter train service is slowing down trains running through town and has added guards at 5 crossings.
Every time a train is going north or south through one of the crossings in Santa Fe, there will be a person, a flagger, with a flag on the track.
We spotted one of those flaggers keeping a biker back from the tracks yesterday, right here. Myers says 10 people will serve as rail runner crossing guards on a typical weekday. Service, by the way, we're told will only run just a minute or 2 slower.
Well, the Veterans Administration here in New Mexico says wait times did not have an effect on veterans dying here. At least that's the case in the cases it's looked at so far. The investigation found almost 190 veterans died while waiting to see a doctor here. But the investigation found no link between how long those veterans waited and them dying. The VA is also taking a look at veterans still on a waiting list. It says as of last week, 248 vets here are on a waiting list, down from 353 2 weeks ago and 1,000 back in May. Outside investigators are also taking a closer look at the deaths and the long wait times. Congressman Steve Pearce and 2 other members of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs are holding a field hearing in Roswell today about the challenges rural America is facing with the VA and mental health care system. The hearings this morning at 11:15 at the Roswell Convention Center. Then later, Congressman Pearce will be meeting with medical officials in the area. Later, Congressman Pearce is set to tour the temporary detention center in Artesia, housing immigrants. We're talking women and children from Central America who have come here illegally. Last week, the government stopped deporting immigrants from this facility because 2 people got chickenpox. About 600 immigrants, women and children, are still being held at this federal facility. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has stopped accepting toy donations for kids there as well, saying it's been overwhelmed with gifts.
And next week, the U.S. Secretary of Energy will be visiting WIPP. Word this morning is that Secretary Ernest Moniz will visit the underground nuclear waste repository near Carlsbad. He is scheduled to visit WIPP Tuesday, to be exact, for the first time since the February 14th reaction that sent radioactive particles into the air above the repository. The leak contaminated 22 workers with low levels of radiation. Well, a warning for you this morning from the State Poison Center about a product that has already claimed the life of one teenager. I'm talking about powdered caffeine. It is becoming very popular among kids and teens. It's easily found online, and it is very difficult to measure properly, leading to possible overdose. A young man in Ohio died after ingesting too much of the product. Even if you don't overdose, it could cause problems.
It can cause nervousness, sweating at doses slightly above the safe range, and in higher amounts can cause life-threatening events like seizures and heart rhythm problems.
The FDA is looking at regulating powdered caffeine products, but recommends people should avoid them altogether.